All right, hello, good morning, good evening, and good night. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic because today we're going to go over the Yieldmax Group D ETFs, which just went ex-dividend today, which is August 28th. Kind of a side note, my birthday's tomorrow, but nothing too crazy about that. What I do want to mention today is we're going to go through all the Yieldmax ETFs and dividends. And just as kind of like a little special thing, I don't just want to go through them. I want to go through some of the top dividends and I want to compare, okay, how are they doing in the short term? Are they falling? Are they raising? I want to see how Yieldmax ETFs from even short and even long term like MSTY or another long-term one, which is AMZ, how have they performed over the long term and how have the dividends stacked up over that time period? And what really makes a successful Yieldmax ETF in the long run? So that's really what I want to talk about. I know there's a lot to talk about because I haven't made a video in almost over a week and a couple days. So I really apologize for that. I've been doing a lot of research on small and mid cap companies, trying to find companies to buy. I'm going to take you through as well some of the buys and sells within my portfolio because I have made quite a few and they've actually heavily impacted my Yieldmax ETFs and dividends. So I want to make that clear. But in today's video, we're currently up to 8,525 subscribers, 82 subscribers in the past 28 days. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and please like this video. We have 2,500 people watching our videos, only 82% likes. So if you can, it really helps out our channel. Thank you. Now, okay, let's get into it. So what basically went on this week with Yieldmax? The Group D ETFs announced with the highest dividend winter coming in at $2.20, we're going to say. Winter is the MSTR short income strategy ETF. It has actually performed extremely poorly, in my opinion, just because it started at a $50 ETF, is now a $30 ETF. It's paid out some pretty big dividends, but it's gone down pretty drastically, 37% in the last almost year. Or within the last year, really, in the last six months or so. So that's pretty heavy. Of course, it's paying some pretty big dividends on that. And with the recent downtrend in MSTR, that's definitely helped within the last month. MSTR is down 15%. But generally, I don't like to buy the shorts just because you're basically, a lot of these companies, I believe, are going to be pretty good for the long term. And so I don't generally like to go short on companies, but if you do think there's something that's a huge pitfall in the business, then it might be an ideal situation to go short. I just think you're kind of taking a gamble versus long-term investing. But winter has only been out for a couple months, as I mentioned. And since then, you've seen the dividend go from $2.72 to $3, but now it's really down to $1.85, $1.65. And that comes as the share price has really dropped drastically. So a big thing with the Yieldmax ETFs, if the share price goes down, the dividends, although the percent is still going to be high, 63%, you're going to see the dividends drastically being reduced because the dividends are a percentage based off of the share price. And when you're paying 60% off of $30 versus 60% off $50 or $60, the dividends are going to be a lot higher when the share price is higher. So that's something to keep in mind. So going on to our next one, another popular one, SMCY, $1.30. We have the share price up here. Over the last year, down 69%, and the underlying stock, SMCI, has only moved about 1%. Of course, you can't forget about the dividends because SMCY has been paying some pretty big dividends. It says 143% here. Is that really consistent? Because we've seen dividends as high as $5, $2, $2.50, but now you can see they're about $1.85, and they've been holding steady about this pace for the past 6 or 7 months. So that's something to keep in mind with SMCY there. Paying some big dividends, now holding stable as the stock is rising a little bit, but really over the past year has remained flat. So moving on, we have MSTY with $1.09. This is actually a company that I own. I own 100 shares of MSTY, or the Yieldmax ETF is what I own, and I'm actually down about 37%, pretty big on that. But MSTR actually presents a pretty good buying opportunity at the current price point, in my opinion. Bitcoin has trended down. If I could show you guys right here within the past month, from some all-time highs, and we see MSTR has also trended down from roughly about $450 down to $340. And if you're looking to potentially get into MSTY, of course, not financial advice, but I might actually look to reinvest just for the long term for MSTR and MSTY. $15 is not a terrible share price to get into, and you could see actually over the long term, MSTY is probably the best performing Yieldmax ETF with dividends and share price, I'd say maintenance of the share price. But same goes for MSTY. It is no different than all the other Yieldmax ETFs, starting at roughly $4, $2.50, $3. We see these big dividends over $2 and continue to $4 and $3. But now we see the dividends slowly going down. One thing to keep in mind, though, is if MSTR has a great month and rallies up, we see the share price of MSTY rally maybe to $20, we're likely going to see another $2 dividend, something like that. So that's something important to keep in mind. The share price in the underlying stock goes up pretty drastically and forces Yieldmax ETF to go up drastically. We are going to see bigger dividends in that ETF. Now let's move on, and I'm just going to kind of roll through a bunch of them quickly so we can really go through all these distributions. We have AMZY at 49 cents. Okay, not 50 cents, 49 cents. RDTY at 45 cents. LFGY at 44, almost 45 cents. XYZY, another Yieldmax ETF I own, coming in at 43 cents. Not bad. CHPY at 39 cents, roughly 40 cents. Aptly 34 cents. Dizzo, not Lizzo, 33 cents. GPTY 29 cents. QDTY 28 cents. YQQQ at 23 cents. SDTY at 19 cents. Yieldmax, another one I own, 30. I pretty much own 1,370 something shares. Let me see. Okay, now I own more, 1,387 shares, as you can see right here. But that dividend came in at 13 cents, almost 14 cents. YMAG there, AIYY at roughly 12 cents, and ULTY at about 9-10 cents. So those are the Yieldmax Group D ETFs, but don't go anywhere, of course, because what I want to show you is a Yieldmax ETF, which has actually performed very well. If you look at Amazon, over the past 5 years, if the chart will load in here, you'll notice that AMZY was actually a Yieldmax ETF since 2023, July 24th. So if we go to that marker on here on Amazon, 2023, July 24, you'll notice that Amazon was roughly about $163 share price stock. Well, now it's a $230 share price stock. That's roughly an increase, we'll say about like 30 to 40%, okay? Well, looking at the Yieldmax ETF, it's actually performed very well in my opinion. It's only down about 24% over the past 2.5 years, which sounds crazy. It started at a share price of $20, and it's paid very consistent dividends. I think this has been a very awesome Yieldmax ETF because it's definitely paid more than the 25% that has fallen. It's a 53% paying ETF, and look at the dividends being paid out. My apologies, guys. I'm pretty sick, but I'm still making these videos. And I'm still working hard. 47 cents, 63 cents, and we continue on. We've seen dividends as high as 97, 95 cents, over even $1, and now they're still paying 64 cents, 59 cents, 59 cents, 78 cents. So this has been an extremely consistent paying Yieldmax ETF, AMZ, and really I think this goes for a lot of the more like better known companies like Apple, NVDY has been very consistent, FBY has been very consistent, Google's been very consistent, even Netflix's NFLY has been very consistent. So a lot of those ETFs which have had great appreciation over the long term in the underlying stock are very well performing Yieldmax ETFs for stable cash flow, in my opinion. Stable cash flow being the dividends aren't fluctuating crazy like we see in MSTY, like we see in winter, as I should call it, WNTR. So all in all, how has my portfolio performed with Yieldmax ETFs and all these dividends? Well, what I do want to show you here is I just want to show you super quickly my performance over the past couple months. Well, in May, my dividends were at about $2,500, okay? In July, my dividends have dropped to closer to $1,800. And then in August, I'm still waiting on this last dividend. I roughly expect it to be my final portfolio balance to be roughly about $2,000. So really, my Yieldmax dividends have actually held pretty strong since I've been buying. But one thing that's super important to keep in mind from this super high month here, you'll say, oh, it looks about a $500 drop. Well, I've actually sold quite a few companies in my portfolio. And if we go over here, my goodness, guys, I am on the edge here. I'm living on the edge. I have sold 75 shares of NVDY right here, okay? I've also sold 161 shares of Coney. And I'm pretty sure for my Yieldmax ETFs, that's it. But still, 75 shares of NVDY, 161 shares of Coney. If Coney has a great dividend, pays roughly about $1, that's $161. NVDY, roughly the same. If it pays about $1, it's $75 or more. So it's something to keep in mind when we are looking at my dividends, that I have sold a few, and it's understandable why they've been falling. But then again, the markets also haven't been appreciating like crazy like they have in the past. Great examples by looking at Yieldmax. Yieldmax over the past little while has been a little bit flat to falling, whereas if the market was really increasing like we've seen in April, those huge dividends that we were getting paid out because of the huge boom in the market, then obviously we're going to have a huge raise in our dividends like we've seen here with a $2,500 a month. So all in all, I've been very actually happy with the consistent monthly cash flow that Yieldmax has paid me. Of course, it comes at a price because a lot of my Yieldmax ETFs are in the red. And I really do my best to buy as best as I can. MSFO has also been a very consistent payer for me. And unfortunately, I only have 25 shares of that. But a lot of the stocks that I do buy, now I'm venturing into more individual companies. Pardon me, guys. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me. But the real reason... Another reason why is I really try my best to find companies at a great value. So now I'm buying more individual. And the reason is because I've built up this cash flow. I had a goal, to hit $1,000 a month in my first year. We hit that on the last month. Now I had a goal of roughly about $10,000 a month. But just due to tax purposes, I'm keeping my income. I'd like to keep it to about $2,500 a month. This gives me more than enough room. See here my cash in my portfolio in order to buy great businesses every single month. And currently I'm doing that. I bought Skyward a little bit, up about 1.2%. I bought a little SHD, cool. United Health, I've been buying that. Helmerich and Payne, I've been buying that. And Health and Tech, I've been buying that. And all my buys are currently in the positive, which is great. But of course, we're continuing to search for more and more companies. And I know we're kind of straying away from Yieldmax ETFs. I will keep you guys updated with these distributions that Yieldmax pays, because I know a lot of my subscribers are Yieldmax ETFs, are within Yieldmax ETFs, and you guys love to see it. But now I'm venturing into more and more little businesses. I will keep these videos going where I talk about the distributions. If you are interested in seeing some new small cap companies, I'm doing so much research, guys. 1,000 companies in the next month that I'm trying to find. I found a few, and I'll tell you on all my buys. So if you want to see those videos, if you want to find some undervalued companies, I'm going to be showing that to you guys as well as the Yieldmax ETFs. Of course. So stay tuned for that. And you can stay tuned by subscribing. We're up to 8,525 subscribers. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Hit that like button because it looks like only 5%, maybe 2% of people are really hitting that like button. 4%, something like that. So please hit that like button if you guys did enjoy. I hope you guys enjoyed going through some Yieldmax ETFs with me, and what are the ones to look out for, what are the ones to maybe potentially watch out for and know the concerns about. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.